Hey everyone, it's Tim Evanicki. Before we get started with today's podcast, I wanted to share some exciting news with you. Applications are now open for our 2022 College Audition Conservatory. This program features a full week of workshops with college faculty from the top musical theater programs in the country, masterclasses with Broadway stars, and fun evening activities including performance opportunities and trips to Orlando area attractions. There's also a full lineup of parent workshops available for those parents who want to join in the fun. In my professional opinion as a college audition coach, I think this is one of the top college audition prep programs in the country. But don't take my word for it.
The College Audition Conservatory for my son and I have been amazing. For him, it has given him the confidence that he needs to feel like he can go into these auditions and shine. It's given him so much feedback on improvements, things he can do, but also things that he's doing well, which is so hard for them to accept that they do things well at this age. For me as a parent, it's given me a vast amount of knowledge about all the different options that are out there for us and for our children to help them to succeed in such a difficult process. It really is a hard process, and Tim and this faculty and the staff have done such a good job of giving us the information, preparing us and preparing our children. This is a difficult process, and your child is going to be emotional, is going to have opinions, and Tim's process kind of lets you step back and be the parent and not be the driving force behind the process. Tim drives that. He can be kind of the hold them accountable person, and you can just be there for moral support and enjoy the ride a little bit. There's still stuff for you to do, but I do feel like it protects the relationship between the parent and child immensely.
The conservatory is open to all students grades 9 through 12 for the 2022-2023 school year. For more information on how to apply for the College Audition Conservatory, please visit www.thecollegeaudition.com/conservatory. Now, on with the show.
Welcome to the College Audition Podcast with your host, nationally renowned college audition coach, Tim Evanicki.
Hey everybody, Tim Evanicki here with the College Audition, back again with another episode of the College Audition Podcast. Today my special guest is John Benitz, chair and professor in the Department of Theater at Chapman University. Thanks so much for joining us, John.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So, as always, as our listeners know, we like to get to know the person before the program. So if you would please share with us a little bit about your background and training that led you up to your time at Chapman.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I studied theater in high school. I went to a small private liberal arts or a small private high school in Colorado Springs, and got bitten by the bug and wanted to pursue theater in college. So I went to Sarah Lawrence College in Westchester County, studied theater there along with liberal arts. Wanted to get a post-secondary degree because I wanted to eventually teach. And so I went to UCLA in their grad acting program for a semester. At that particular time, I wasn't. It wasn't a fit for me, the program. And these programs, depends on who's there and whatnot at the time. Wasn't quite a fit for me, so I went to Brandeis University in Boston and got my master's in acting there. And then after graduate school, much of my class either stayed in Boston, some went to New York, and a few of us ventured and went to LA. I was one of the people that went to LA and started working, both directing theater, but also doing film and TV, both on the acting side and on the directing side. And just worked and made inroads into the industry over a number of years. And if truth be told, then I met my wife and we wanted to have kids, and we were both sort of looking elsewhere other than Los Angeles. And so I took a teaching job in upstate New York, and I was doing that for a couple of years up in the Albany area. And then got the job offer from Chapman, and I in 2006 have been there since. teaching acting, and been chair of the department for 6 years. And that's about it in a nutshell.
So you knew right from the outset that you were looking at teaching.
I did, Tim. Yeah, but when you're in your 20s, I think sometimes those things can be more like a kind of a thought that rattles around rather than a specific goal, if that makes sense. I
Yeah.
went ahead and got my master's. I knew eventually teaching might be a fit for me, but at that age, I was really just focused on, acting and directing and
Of course.
making that work, as I guess my self-knowing self knew back in my 20s when I was applying to grad schools, I did eventually get back to
Yeah.
teaching. So it took about 15 years.
Right. So other than being chair of the department, you are also a professor. So which classes do you actually teach there, and when will students come in contact with you?
When I started at Chapman in 2006, I was hired to make connections with our film school. Chapman has a really terrific top 5 film school, and so my instincts were focused on creating inroads, and it was part of my job description to make inroads with the film school to create opportunities for our students over in this terrific film school with so many movies being made. So I kind of set to work on that fairly early, and in 2008 created, along with one of my colleagues in Dodge, a BFA in screen acting. So I teach primarily within that particular degree, and at the time it was an absolutely unique degree. There was no other in the country. There was a BFA in film acting and screen acting. There's been since a few and some different variations of it, but at the time we were the first, and so those were my primary focus and still are. Although I have taught general acting, I've taught directing too. I created our BFA showcase back in 2008 as well, and so for years I directed the showcase. I don't anymore. Just my schedule is tilted in a different way, but those are the primary courses.
Great.
And starting again in the fall, I'll be teaching screen acting and TV acting workshop classes.
Right. So there's more than one BFA performance degree opportunity for actors there. Can you talk to us about the two different degrees and sort of the difference between the two?
Yep. We have a BFA in theater performance, which has been around before I arrived at Chapman, and then we have the BFA in screen acting. I would say, Tim, the primary difference for your students listening in is that the primary differences really lie mostly in the technical courses, meaning in BFA theater performance, they take lighting for the stage. They'll take theater history instead of film history in the screen acting degree. They'll take technical courses in theater, such as lighting, such as stagecraft, and so on, while the screen acting students are over in the film school taking classes like, instead of theater directing, film directing. Instead of stagecraft, they're taking editing. Those are the primary differences. Is in again, theater history versus film history, etc. Now, in terms of the acting curriculum, they are primarily the same, although as you matriculate through the program, they start to change a bit, meaning that all actors, BFA theater performers and BFA screen actors, will take a class called Performance Techniques right out of the gate, fall of freshman year. Then they'll go right into Acting Fundamentals, character building, screen acting, text analysis and scene study, all classes kind of like, you might think of it as acting 1, acting 2, acting 3, acting 4. All of those are taken by both BFAs. And then it starts to deviate a bit as you hit spring of senior year and spring of junior year and fall of senior year, where screen actors are taking screen acting 2. Theater performers are taking a class called rehearsal and performance, more geared towards stage. And then both BFAs come back together again senior year in a class called the business of acting, and then they go right into showcase class in the spring together. And so that really emphasizes and puts into practice our, core philosophy,
Right.
which is that, good acting is good acting, and the skills that you need in the business are translatable between stage and screen. And our actors, as we exhibit in our showcase, are capable of doing both stage and screen. And you'll actually see them in the showcase, theater performers doing a screen scene, and screen actors doing a stage scene. So we really show that, hey, good acting is good acting, and we just want our actors to be employable
Right.
in the industry. So
Cool.
that's the strategy.
Great. So let's take the degrees separately here, and or maybe you can go through talking about them at the same time. But if imagine that I'm a freshman going to Chapman for my first year, and I'm a BFA screen acting student. What does that freshman year look like?
Well, you're going to BFA screen actors right out of the gate will be taking a class called Film Aesthetics over in the film school. Starting to get their toe in the water over in the film school and learning kind of the language of film. And that goes right into a class called Visual Storytelling that the screen actors are taking. And again, starting to understand that language. And also you start to build a vernacular over the years in the film school, because anybody who's been on a film set know that filmmakers are often big film geeks, and they love to reference other movies, and they love to discuss, hey, this is sort of like a scene in so and so, and it's helpful to know those reference points. So they take they'll go on to take Film History 1, Film History 2, and along with taking that sort of that core acting structure that's shared with the BFA theater performers, and so that they share the acting curriculum for the first few years. But again, the other courses, in quotes, aside from the acting curriculum, generally will happen for the screen actors over in the film school.
Great. And so the BFA acting students would, is it BFA acting and then BFA screen acting, or BFA theater performance?
Well, it's BFA theater performance.
Theater performance. I apologize. So for BFA theater performance, what does that freshman year sort of look like for them? That would be different.
They'll be taking a class called Page to Stage, which is kind of an intro to theater class. They'll probably start taking a class should be taking a class called Practicum, which is basically crewing our main stage shows. And theater performers have to do a couple of those in their 4 years, and they typically knock them out in the first year or two. And that's just a way to kind of build camaraderie and understand what's happening behind the scenes in a stage play before they're ever cast. We do have a policy at Chapman that freshmen are not allowed to be in a show in fall of their freshman year. After that, all bets are off, and they start being in shows in the spring. Now, that said, they can go and do films over in the film school. But we just really try to foster in them a work ethic, an understanding of what's happening behind the scenes, an appreciation for the crew, the sound crew, the deck crew, the people who are lighting the stage, and they're a part of that whole mix. And then they start auditioning in the fall for the spring shows. And we don't have any restrictions on freshmen being leads. Frequently, we have incoming freshmen in spring of their freshman year as leads in main stage shows, and that's a very common thing. So that's kind of the difference between the two and what a freshman year would look like. Again, both BFA theater performance and screen actors will be together in a class called Acting Fundamentals, which is a little bit of a misnomer. It's named Acting Fundamentals, but it's pretty much a very kind of deep tissue acting class where really you really start to understand in your core what are those fundamental principles of performance. Of how to create a successful performance. Leads into character building. And I will say that in that acting fundamental class, a lot of the focus is on what you bring to the table as a performer. One way of saying it is that no performance is the same. And no performance is the same because it's not acted by the same actor. Every one of your students listening, their Hamlet will be different than any other that has ever been. And that's part of the goal of that acting fundamental class is to say, for students to reflect on what they bring to the table. Who am I as a performer? What are my strengths? What are the bad habits that I've got that are getting in the way of being true to myself as a performer, and being able to be fully liberated within the structure that the play provides. And then the next step in sophomore year is a class called Character Building, which by the name, you start to layer in character now, and start to sort of agitate within the structure of the play as yourself, which you're bringing to the table, but as a character. And it just starts to build from there into a class called Text Analysis and Scene Study, and so on and so forth. So we're very proud of our acting program. Our actors, again, are very well versed in both stage and screen. And we have an extremely talented group of professors who teach the acting classes, along with voice and movement. That being also one of the differences, Tim. If you're a BFA theater performer, you're taking an extra voice class because it's more important. Not that screen actors don't need a good voice class, because they do, and they take one, but they don't go on to vocal techniques too. That's for the stage actors. So that would be one of the differences. Both take movement class, because we feel that screen actors also need to be in their body and to explore that part of themselves. So, comprehensive acting training.
Great. And you had spoken a bit about auditioning and main stage, which is a great segue into the next set of questions here that has to do with performance opportunities. Before you get into performance opportunities, it sounds like no matter which degree type you are, you're able to audition for everything. Is that true?
You are, yeah. If you're a BA, BFA theater performance, BFA screen acting, you can audition for all the main stage shows. Absolutely. We have lots of performance opportunities over in the film school, which again is for everybody. In addition, there's several clubs. There's a Guerrilla Shakespeare who do just amazing work. There's an improv group. They're phenomenal. They create really great work. We do student-directed one-acts every year in the spring, and everybody auditions for those. There's auditions for what are called the brown bags, which are the advanced directing students put on short plays that the faculty and all the students come see at the end of the year in spring. So it's I would say our successful performers at Chapman are the busiest. It's really a kind of an important thing to not sit back and sort of wait for those opportunities, but to jump in. There's ample opportunities. If you want to stay busy, you'll stay very, very, very busy, and that's what we encourage, because part of the work, of course, happens in the classroom with these amazing teachers, and the other half of it is putting it into practice on the stage and on the screen.
Right.
So we really encourage that.
And so how many main stage productions do you do every year?
We'll typically do 4 main stage shows plus the student-directed one acts.
Mm-hmm.
In addition, there's a kind of a 6th show called Chapman Celebrates. It's a big fundraiser that happens every year, and it's produced by the College of Performing Arts and produced by the Dean of the College of Performing Arts, but they utilize singers out of the theater department, singers out of the music department, dancers, actors. It's a really successful annual event that raises literally millions of dollars for scholarships for the university.
That's incredible. And so there's, obviously you said there's a lot of student film opportunities. Are there, I don't even know, I don't come from a world of film. So are there school produced film opportunities, or is everyone basically in student projects?
There's student projects in the film school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I checked in with one of our former students there, Carly Stemler, who's in the screen acting and minor in musical theater there. And she was telling us that she, as a freshman, and she had only completed her first semester, I think, when we did a little check-in with her, she had a lot of film that she was already working on and doing, and that sounded really incredible. Let's chat about those minors as well. So there is a musical theater minor that you can take at Chapman, which is very exciting and, to me, more robust than most. But let's chat about that and any other minors that might be available to the actors.
We have a musical theater minor. We brought it in about 3 years ago. It's been extremely successful. What's interesting about it and kind of unique is that it's not strictly out of the theater department. It's a co-curricular minor between dance and music. So dance students and music students and theater students can all audition to be in it. If you're a theater student, then you don't have to take the theater curriculum classes that are within this minor, but you do take the classes over in dance, and because you will have already taken them, if that makes sense. They're acting fundamentals and character building. You will have already taken those classes, and a musical theater class that theater offers. If you're a dance student, you will have already taken your dance classes, so you're over in theater learning a little bit about acting. If you're a music student, you will have already taken how to read sheet music, music theory, all that. So those students, music students, are not taking those particular courses, but they are over in dance, taking the dance courses and learning a bit more about acting. Mm-hmm. And then all students come together to do a capstone semester-long course in musical theater. It's been extremely popular. And all students at Chapman have to take a minor. It's kind of a fit for the College of Performing Arts students to take that musical theater minor. It's certainly not required. Some students go off and minor in psychology and Spanish and leadership and various other things. But if that's something you're interested in doing, it is an audition program. Mm-hmm. You have to audition to get in. But if you're reasonably strong dancer, singer, actor, you'll do just fine.
Do you produce a musical?
We typically will do a musical every year. We have gosh, I would say almost since I've been there, and certainly in the last 6 years that I've been chair. I can't guarantee that that'll always be the case. We have a season selection committee which, by the way, has two students on it, and is comprised of faculty. And so, they may decide one year to not do a musical. But this year, for instance, we're doing Xanadont in the spring, which is just a terrific show. We've done Avenue Q in recent years. We did Avenue Q 3 years ago in the Musco Center, which is our brand new state-of-the-art 1,200 seat, gorgeous theater, and it was a sellout show, really terrific. And we've done Cabaret in there. We've done 9 to 5 in there. Yeah, just a bunch of really terrific shows in the Musco. But we also, Xanadont is in our Waltmar Theater, which is a 320 seat theater right connected to the theater building. So scaling down a little bit for Xanadont, but
I
still
love
a
Xanadont.
really terrific. Oh, it's awesome! Yeah,
It's a very fun show. I directed it 4 or 5 years now, 5 years ago. So before we leave the topic of minors, what are some other minors within performing arts? You said that every Chapman student has to take a minor, but it can be anywhere in the university. What other minors are available in the realm of theater, film, dance?
You can do theater studies minor, which a lot of students are very interested in doing. But often, it's interesting. Often our students, they branch out into the university. As I said, we'll do Spanish, psychology, leadership, history. Gosh, I think I've seen everything. Business.
That's wonderful.
A handful there, yeah. And there's a large number of really terrific minors. Now we have to keep in mind that Chapman is a liberal arts college, and so it's worth noting. And this is all, of course, on our website, chapman.edu, and just find yourself in the theater corner over there, and you'll see that our two BFAs, for instance, there's 78 credits for a BFA, which is pretty heavy duty, out of 120 needed to graduate. So doing the math, it's about 2/3 of your course curriculum is in, your discipline is in theater performance or screen acting. Now that other third takes place on the liberal arts campus. And so, we like to say a conservatory-like program, meaning it's a hardcore, very in-depth acting program, but you still are taking 1/3 of your courses in the university, opening your mind. I came from liberal arts background, and I'm very, very pro liberal arts, and I feel that a smart actor is a good actor, somebody who can connect the dots to the history of the play, the psychology, the philosophy, the gestalt of the time, and what's really happening here, in a particular play and in your character and so on. So the liberal arts component is key to that, and we really are very big advocates of that. So, 2/3 of your program, you're going to be in the theater, working until 10 o'clock at night, rehearsing and all that. But then you wake up in the morning and you go to your philosophy class and you learn a little bit about the rest of the world and what's happening.
Yeah, that's
Poli
so important.
Sci has been another popular one. So yeah.
Great. Talk to us about any notable faculty or alum that you can share with us.
Well, we have, I'd say every year in our showcase, we have actors who are signed and go on and joined some of the big agencies in Los Angeles. I was just watching the Super Bowl, and for our Rams fans out there, of course, we're in Los Angeles, so that was a big victory. But one of my students was on a Skechers Super Bowl commercial, and I routinely see my students on various TV shows, films, usually smaller parts. It's a way of saying we haven't had our massive breakthrough movie star yet, but I think it's just a matter of time. We're actually a fairly new program, given everything. We were a very small program, really, until the mid 2000s, when our numbers really started to grow in terms of our profile and the number of students auditioning and our selectivity, and we added the BFA screen acting program. So we're just starting to emerge as one of the top programs. So I think our big movie star time will come, but in the meantime, we really mostly focus on training our actors to work and to be successful in their chosen field, to be entrepreneurial in their field. To screen actors, for instance, you heard me talk a little bit about the curriculum a little while ago, Tim, but not too many programs out there, if any. The actors are taking directing for film. They're taking editing. They're taking screenwriting. Those are all required classes within that degree. And so because of that, we have seen numerous students graduate and go on and become collaborators in bigger films. One of our students has become a very sought after Hollywood screenwriter who goes from project to project to project to project. Some really big projects are in the works right now for her as well. So I think that's another important component is one of our students, a BFA theater performer, I'd say 3 weeks ago, I just got word. She sent an email to me saying she's now an agent at Bookwald and Associates, which is top boutique agency in Los Angeles. So, there's a lot of entrepreneurial spirit happening, and our students, some focus just on acting, and that's what they want to do. They just want to be an actor. But we also encourage those students to think outside the box and go, can I write something that I can act in? Can I make some money cutting actors' reels together until I get my feet on the ground as a performer? Mm-hmm. We've had students become casting directors. So it's again, we focus really on being a working professional in the field. And that's our primary focus.
Great. And other than you, who are the primary or some other key players in the faculty that the students will be dealing with?
One of our terrific new hires, a guy named Nick Gabriel, and we stole him from ACT up in San Francisco, where he was a full-time faculty member there. He is a terrific teacher, and he teaches a class called Intro to Performance Techniques, which is kind of like actor boot camp, right when you arrive. Fall of freshman year, it's a class where you kind of break down your bad habits, try to identify who you are as a performer, things like that, leading directly into the acting fundamentals class, which I had described. So he teaches that. He teaches also character building, and both core classes for both BFAs. Tomiko Washington, Professor Tomiko Washington, who's now interim chair, she teaches voice and movement class, and she is top in her field. Professor Michael Naring has been teaching for 36 years, 35 years, something like that. He essentially was at the beginning of the theater program at Chapman. He kind of got it going back in the day. And he is, by all measures, a master acting teacher. He has a very special gift with students to bring out a terrific performance and to teach a technique that lasts them, that will serve them through their life as performers. And then we have a whole host of adjuncts, part-time teachers who fill in for various different courses that we offer, sometimes once every other year, that sort of thing, and sometimes some high-profile Los Angeles actors. And so that's kind of a routine thing. We have, because of our location, we've had Annette Benning speak to our students. We have had do a master class. We've had James Caan talk to our students. Kristen Chenoweth was at Chapman in the fall, working with our musical theater students.
Wow.
So, our location really is kind of an asset. Not that going to school in Iowa is it's, I'm sure, terrific. But there's just certain advantages that we have just given our location. In addition, for our tech students, if there's any students out there interested in tech or the BA, our proximity to Disneyland, we're about 8 minutes from there. And so a lot of our students do internships and end up working there. Some after they graduate. We have a whole host of students who are climbing the ranks in the technical field over at Disney, and also internships is a big thing that our location offers as well. Each and every semester we have a multitude of students up in Los Angeles working at the studios, working in casting offices, production offices. In the agencies, which is in fact how one of that student who I just mentioned just made an agent at Buchwald. She did an internship at one of the agencies in Los Angeles about 3 years ago, when she was a Chapman student, and she was very smart about her choices, and is very talented. Even as an actor, she started to, and also, by the way, a very talented actor, but she just saw something in herself and said, I see casting and I see working in an agency. And that's what she ended up doing. So
You are writing these segues for me today. We want to talk next about the location, and you just mentioned great things that it's close by to Disneyland. It's in the Los Angeles area, but I just wanted to speak a bit more to that, because I think most students who may have not been to that area hear the Los Angeles area and assume big city. You can see the Hollywood sign from your backyard. That's not quite where you are. You're further south, right? South of Los Angeles, down there by Disneyland.
We are. We're just south. We're just south of LA. If you know Los Angeles, you can say, yeah, we're about 40 minutes south, or you can say we're about 2 hours south. It really depends on the time of day that you're traveling. But if you're leaving at the right time, you can be in LA in about 30, 40 minutes. Mm-hmm. We're in Orange County in the town of Orange, which is a cute, terrific little college town. That's the main street. Actually, they filmed the box of chocolates scene in Forrest Gump, right in the little circle. It's surrounded by terrific restaurants. It's like an old 30s, 40s, 50s Main Street with lots of art galleries, antique galleries, terrific food. Really a wonderful little town and place to be. And it's called Orange, which is the seat of Orange County.
Great.
But just south of the LA County line.
Right. So it's not a big city vibe at all. It's a little bit more small towny. Great.
Yeah, but surrounded by, it's very urban.
Very close to,
and also the beaches. Yeah, the beaches are, 25 minutes away. Newport Beach, Laguna, all of it up and down the coast is real close.
Can't complain about that.
Right.
Great. Let's switch gears now and talk about auditions. Very first question I always ask, do you pre-screen?
We do. There came a time, I'm going to say about 6 years ago, when our numbers of applicants were simply, and it's at the same time I became chair, the number of applicants was a little overwhelming for what we were able to do as a fairly small department. And so we found a necessity to do a pre-screen at that point. We were starting to see upwards close to 600 applicants. And basically, in my first year, my poor faculty were there just about every single weekend, teaching all week, and then we were doing auditions every weekend through the late fall and into early spring, and it was a little nuts. And so we found the next year important to move to a pre-screen, and it's a fairly simple process, similar to other programs. Students will upload a short little who am I, a little something about me, and then they'll do 2 1-minute monologues. And then the faculty will look at those. They're a second set of eyes. The chair approves or disagrees with the faculty, but they're seen by a host of people. And if they're approved, then they're sent an invite to a live audition. Now, of course, we have to talk COVID, non-COVID years, because we have had to move online these last couple of years.
Of course.
But my hope is that as soon as this nonsense is over, we'll be able to get back to our live auditions. And we do a host of auditions in Orange, so students can come to campus, take a tour, get to see the town, sit in on some classes, and we highly encourage that for students who are granted a live audition. And then we also do regional auditions in New York and Chicago, and we just time those like a lot of other schools with the unifieds. So we'll be there in Chicago and New York at the same time that the unifieds are there, and they're able to sort of piggyback on those. As far as the pre-screen, I'm going to try to preempt your next question, Tim. I would say about half, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less than half of students will get a live audition based on the pre-screen. We're pretty selective in the pre-screen. As I said, it goes through several sort of steps. And, we're looking for something fairly specific. As we are in our live auditions, we want to see a unique take on material. We want to see that sort of spark of talent, that thing that says, I've digested this material, I'm making it my own, I'm living within the structure, of this piece. I like to say sort of agitating within it, and creating something, that's interesting for us to watch, and something that we can see that seed. I'm asked all the time, well, do I have to have a lot of film in my background to audition for the BFA screen acting program? The answer is no, absolutely not. Again, we're just looking for talented actors. Somebody who is diligent with their material. They understand the material. They can answer questions about it. Sometimes in the live audition, I can't control this. If a faculty says, "Why did you make that choice?" If an actor's not able to answer that question, and they stumble through that answer, that maybe tells us something. It's not an automatic disqualifier, but you want to hear, well, I made that choice because I read the play and because I believe this character is doing this. And so that is, I will segue briefly into the audition. I'll give a couple of really important things for anybody interested in auditioning for Chapman's program. Please read the play. Please choose a monologue from a play. Those standalone monologues that you find on the internet, they're not going to serve you. in our audition. So please be diligent about that. I like to say go old school on it. And that means something from my era, which is we would go into the library with a big cup of coffee and you plop yourself down on the library floor and you grab a chunk of plays off the wall, off the shelves in the library, and you flip through until you find a monologue that speaks to you, something that says, I love this thing. This is my story. This is something I want to do. I love this piece. And just by taking that approach, I think you're going to find something unique and interesting that's coming out of you that you're sharing that's going to excite us. There's a lot of debate and talk about, well, should I do the most current monologue that's floating out there? And sure, and there are certain pieces out there that we see a lot of that I don't know why. They just kind of, we'll see the same monologue so many times in one year and the next year, not so much.
Isn't that
it's
strange?
Just kind of in the air. Yeah,
it must come up on a search, or I think, and not to make us sound super old, but I think that there's the YouTube video searches. That's what students have told me. They search for monologues now on YouTube, and just the algorithms start popping back the same monologues on the top. And I tell my students, please don't do that. Please don't find any monologue by any means searching online. Read plays. Starting your freshman year of high school, just start. You can polish off 2 plays a week if you just read for a few minutes before you go to bed at night. And that's 100 plays a year. The best thing you can do, and you're going to guarantee that you're not going to find the same thing that everyone else does. Because I travel all over the country and do these workshops almost every weekend. And it never fails. This material that seems so obscure that we've never heard before, all of a sudden, half of the kids are bringing in, or, oh, I know that monologue, or I heard that monologue. It's so weird how that happens now. And I guess algorithms is the only answer as to why that keeps happening. But that's my 2 cents. But you sparked something in me there, because my goodness.
It's terrific advice, Tim. And by the way, you're doing a great service to your students by doing what you're doing. I actually was just on your website, and I think it's terrific. So
thank you so much.
Keep it up. It's students really need it, And here's another interesting, or maybe not so interesting, but worthy comment. We want our students to succeed. So do train. Hit up people like Tim and all his knowledge, and bring that to the table because we want you to do well. We want talented students. That's my job, is to connect the most talented students with our program, and it's a two-way street. And we want to serve the student, and we expect certain things from the student too, to bring professionalism, talent, hard work to the table. And those are all. Those are, in fact, in my many years doing this, those are the components. Be well trained, study hard, know your craft, be a professional. Don't be a jerk. Don't be a diva and all that. It's not going to serve you, I promise. Be that person that. I'm not the first to say this, but people work with the people that they want to work with. I'm a professional director. I'm working on a film right now, and which is why I'm on sabbatical at the moment. There's no question I'm going to bring back some of the performers that I've worked with in the past, because they're terrific and they're professional and they're great. Just being talented alone is not a ticket. You want to be a professional. You want to be great to work with, give back, all that stuff. Right. Sounds a little Pollyannish, but it's true.
Absolutely. True. Absolutely. John, if people want to learn some more about Chapman and might have some more questions, what's the best way to get in touch?
Just our website. Go to Chapman. You'll learn a little bit about the program itself. But if you have any specific questions to the department, it's theater, THEATRE, not ER, but RE, at chapman.edu. send an email, and you will get a response back from somebody in the department, possibly the chair, possibly a faculty member, possibly one of our student workers. We love to connect our students in the program with interested applicants, because I've often found, like, I know the programs inside and out, but our interested students often love to hear from students who are in the program. So we do our best to connect a BFA screen actor current with somebody who is interested in the program or been admitted and deciding, hey, should I go to Chapman? I also got into so-and-so college, and what's it like? Kind of the questions you've asked me, but you hear from the students themselves. So theater@chapman.edu.
Great. Well, John, thank you so much for taking some time out of your sabbatical to chat with us, and you'll be headed back there again in the fall. So we hope to be in touch real soon, and you're seeing a bunch of our kids during auditions right now, so hopefully we'll be in touch real soon.
Oh, that's terrific, Tim. Well, listen, thank you very much, and keep doing what you're doing. I'm grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
For more information on the exciting training, workshops, and masterclasses offered by The College Audition, please visit us online at www.thecollegeaudition.com or follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok.